Let's begin with the first type of corpuscles, that is the red blood corpuscles, which we also call as what? We call them as erythrocytes. Now these erythrocytes are the most abundant cells in your body. They are what? They are the most abundant cells in your body, and they are very smaller in size. And this small size provides advantage to the RBCs. How? Because the small size allows the RBCs to actually pass through very thin capillaries also. Now let's discuss erythrocytes or the red blood corpuscles in detail. Let's talk about the number of RBCs. When we talk about total RBC count, I am talking about the number of RBCs per cubic millimeter. So in case of men, there are 5 million RBCs per cubic millimeter, and in case of women, there are 4.5 million RBCs per cubic millimeter. Now why this number is less in case of women? It is because women undergo menstrual cycle, due to which there is blood loss. That is why the RBC number, the total RBC count is less in women, slightly less as compared to men, right? Then let's talk about the shape of RBCs. They are enucleated, means they are non-nucleated or they are without nucleus. They are biconcave and circular. As you can see in the image, they are biconcave shape. They are circular, but they are what? They are biconcave. Now this shape, this biconcave shape also provides advantage to the RBCs in a way that it provides more large surface area for gaseous exchange. So biconcave shape is actually giving advantage to RBCs by increasing the surface area for gaseous exchange. Then let's talk about the size of RBCs. They are 7 to 8 micrometer in diameter and 1 to 2 micrometer thick near the rim. They are what? They are 7 to 8 micrometer in diameter and 1 to 2 micrometer thick near the rim. So you can make out that they have a very smaller size. As I told you earlier, the smaller size allow the RBCs to actually pass through what? Through very thin capillaries also. Let's talk about the color. They appear yellowish when seen singly and red when they are seen in bulk. So in bulk, these RBCs appear red. Now red color is due to the presence of a pigment that we call as hemoglobin. The red color of these RBCs is because of the pigment that we call as hemoglobin. Now hemoglobin is actually a molecule which is a protein conjugated molecule. In a sense, how hemoglobin is formed? It is formed from heme and globin. Now this heme is what? Heme is an iron porphyrin complex. It is what? It is iron porphyrin complex. And what is globin? Globin is a protein. I am just trying to make out how can you actually see the or you can say imagine hemoglobin, as will not work on the structure of hemoglobin at this stage. Heme is what? It is iron porphyrin complex and globin is a protein. So 4 heme molecules, they are going to join with 4 globin molecules and they are going to form this molecule, this hemoglobin molecule, right. So 4 heme molecules, which is iron porphyrin complex, means they have this iron, right, in the center, and they combine with 4 globin molecules, which is actually what? They are the proteins, right. So they form the hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin is the pigment which is going to provide this red color to the RBCs, and which is the main pigment which is going to carry or transport oxygen. So this hemoglobin combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin, right. Then let's talk about the structure of RBCs. There is no nucleus, as I already told you, means they are enucleated, they are non-nucleated, or they are without nucleus. And with this, they also don't have many organelles, that is, they don't have Golgi bodies, they don't have mitochondria, ribosomes, centrioles, ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum. So they don't have nucleus, and in fact they don't have certain organelles also, like Golgi bodies, mitochondria, ribosomes, centrioles, endoplasmic reticulum. Now how this provides advantage to the RBCs? Since they do not have these organelles, means oxygen consumption is less. When oxygen consumption is less, these RBCs they undergo anaerobic respiration. Because of the absence of these organelles, oxygen consumption is going to be less and they undergo anaerobic respiration, and the absence of these organelles also allows that the most of the cytoplasm it is filled with what? It is filled with the pigment, that is hemoglobin. So the main purpose of hemoglobin, the main purpose of RBCs, that is the transport of oxygen, it is going to be solved in this manner. So that is why nature has designed these RBCs, erythrocytes, in such a way that they have more surface area, they have more space for the pigment, that is hemoglobin, which is going to transport oxygen. So, the absence of these organelles, it is going to provide what? More space for this hemoglobin molecules, right. If we talk about the quantity of hemoglobin, in a healthy adult, the 100 ml blood contains 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin. So, 1 RBC, it actually contains 280 million hemoglobin molecules, right. So, 1 RBC contains 280 million, these what? 280 million hemoglobin molecules, right. So, 100 ml of blood contains 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin pigment, as I told you, it is the main pigment which is going to carry, or it is going to transport oxygen. Now, moving on to the lifespan. The lifespan of RBCs is actually 120 days. They die after 120 days and new RBCs are formed. How they are formed, we will discuss. The formation of RBCs is actually known as erythropoiesis. It is known as erythropoiesis. In the early embryonic stages, the erythropoiesis, the formation of RBCs, it occurs through the yolk sac, right. And here the RBCs are nucleated. They have a nucleus there, but when they become mature, they lose the nucleus. They do not have nucleus when they are mature, but in the very young stage, when they are not mature, they have the nucleus. And after that, in later embryonic stages, this erythropoiesis, it occurs, means the formation of RBCs, it occurs in the liver and spleen. And finally, after the birth of the child, the RBCs, they actually are formed, or the erythropoiesis, the formation of RBCs occurs in the bone marrow. It occurs where? It occurs in the bone marrow. From what? From these hemocytoblasts. So, in the bone marrow, from hemocytoblasts, RBCs or erythrocytes, they are formed. Now, what is required for their formation? Iron and protein, they are the main important you can say factors that are required for the formation of RBCs or erythrocytes. With this, vitamin B12 and folic acid are needed for the maturation of RBCs. So, for maturation, we also need vitamin B12 and folic acid, right. And excess of RBCs, they are stored in spleen. Excess of RBCs are stored in spleen. They are formed by the bone marrow, right, after birth, and excess of them are stored in spleen. And we need what? We need iron, protein, vitamin B12 and folic acid for their formation. For what? For erythropoiesis to occur, right. So, you can make out that how these important are the protein, the iron, the vitamin B12 and folic acid, because the deficiency is going to cause a disease that we call as anemia. You must have come across this term many times. We call it as anemia. So, when there is deficiency of the pigment hemoglobin, then also this condition is there, that is anemia, right. And it is deficiency of these iron, protein, vitamin B12, folic acid, then also we suffer from anemia. So, that is why sometimes young children, they are prescribed, or you can say women are also prescribed with some you can say medicines that contain folic acid, vitamin B12 or iron. Why? Just to combat the decrease in the number of RBCs, the decrease in the pigment, that is hemoglobin, right. So, we suffer from anemia when the amount of hemoglobin is less than required in your blood. Then, if we talk about the number of RBCs, when there is abnormal increase in the number of RBCs, the condition is termed as polycythemia. The condition is termed as polycythemia. And when there is abnormal decrease in the number of RBCs, the condition is termed as erythrocytopenia. So, abnormal increase in the number of RBCs is termed as polycythemia, and abnormal decrease in the number is termed as erythrocytopenia. Now, when we suffer from erythrocytopenia, means when there is oxygen deficiency in your body. Why there is oxygen deficiency? Because the pigment, that is hemoglobin, is less in your body, so means oxygen transport is less. So, when this is a condition, then what happens? The kidneys, they stimulate a hormone that we call as erythropoietin. They stimulate a hormone which we call as erythropoietin, right. Now this erythropoietin, it is actually going to just help this bone marrow to make out more RBCs, to undergo what? Erythropoiesis means formation of more RBCs or release of more RBCs going to be there when this hormone, that is erythropoietin, is released or it is stimulated by the kidneys, right. So this is how the condition, that is erythrocytopenia, is there when there is abnormal decrease in the number of RBCs or abnormal decrease in the RBC count, the erythrocyte count, right. Then let's come to the functions of the red blood corpuscles. The very first important function of red blood corpuscles is the transport of oxygen. Now these RBCs have hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin in the RBCs, it combines with oxygen and forms what? Oxyhemoglobin. Now this oxyhemoglobin is available for the tissues where oxidation of food takes place. So this oxygen is helping for the oxidation of food. So the main and the major function of the red blood corpuscle, the erythrocyte, is the transport of oxygen. How this is possible? This is possible because of the pigment, that is hemoglobin. Why? Because it combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. Then let's talk about transport of carbon dioxide. Now hemoglobin also combine with carbon dioxide, okay. So the red blood corpuscles, they have potassium carbonate, and the potassium carbonate actually forms potassium bicarbonate in the presence of enzyme, that is carbonic anhydrase. Potassium carbonate combines with what? The carbon dioxide, and forms what? Potassium bicarbonate. This potassium carbonate is there in the RBCs, and this occurs in the presence of an enzyme, that is carbonic anhydrase. So transport of carbon dioxide, right, to the lungs by these RBCs is also one of the major function of these erythrocytes or RBCs, you can say. So transport of oxygen and transport of carbon dioxide is also one of the major function. Then we have maintenance of pH of blood. Now the hemoglobin that is there in the RBCs, it is actually going to act as a buffer. So it is going to actually maintain what? The pH of the blood. And here I want to give you one very important statement, that is the acidity of blood results in hemoglobin to carry less oxygen. When the blood is more acidic, you know that the blood is actually alkaline, it has a pH of 7.4, it is slightly alkaline. But when the blood becomes acidic, it results in hemoglobin to carry what? To carry less of oxygen. Now let's talk about the next term, that is what? That is ESR, which is erythrocyte sedimentation rate. It is what? Erythrocyte sedimentation rate. So when the blood which is carrying an anticoagulant, for example oxalate, it is carrying an anticoagulant, that is an oxalate, it is kept in these fine tubes, as you can see over here. The erythrocytes, the red blood corpuscles, are going to settle down. They are going to settle down because they are heavier than the plasma. So when they are going to settle down, that rate at which time they settle down, it is termed as the erythrocyte sedimentation rate. So as the name clearly suggests, ESR is what? It is erythrocyte sedimentation rate, means the rate, the time taken by the erythrocyte to sediment, to settle down at the bottom. Why they settle down? Because they are heavier than the plasma, the blood plasma. So if you talk about the erythrocyte sedimentation rate, it is in the first hour in men it is 0 to 5 millimeter, right, and in women it is 0 to 7 millimeter. Now this method of having this erythrocyte sedimentation rate is also known as Westergen method. It is known as Westergen method, right. Then we have a term that is Rule-X. Now what is this Rule-X? Just look into this image. When the blood flow is quite slow, then these RBCs are piled up in this manner. As you can see, this is the side view, the RBCs are piled up in this manner on top of each other. So you can see how this view is there, and we have this view also. So you can see this view, the side view over here in this image, and these RBCs are actually piled up in this way. So who favors this piling up of RBCs? Who favors the formation of this Rule-X? Right? Remember what is Rule-X? It is actually the RBCs when they are piled on this condition we call as Rule-X, right? And this Rule-X is favored by fibrinogen. So fibrinogen actually favors what? Rule-X formation. The RBCs are piled up when the blood flow is quite slow, right? So as a whole, I hope that the red blood corpuscles or the erythrocytes, it's very clear to you. You need to actually remember what is the main function, and remember that they have no nucleus and they don't have these organelles, that is Golgi bodies, mitochondria, ribosomes, centrioles, endoplasmic reticulum. And here I also want to tell you, when we talk about the biconcave shape of the erythrocytes, this biconcave shape is not there in case of camel and llama, right? So some animals are also there which do not have biconcave shape of RBCs. They have what? They have the RBCs which are what? Which are oval in shape. They are what? Oval in shape, right? And you can also just remember that the count of RBCs, it is actually less in women as compared to men because of the menstrual cycle over there, and the lifespan of RBCs is around just 120 days, and the formation of RBCs is known as erythropoiesis. In the early stages it is there in the yolk sac, and then in liver and spleen, and when the child is born, the erythropoiesis, the formation of RBCs takes place in the bone marrow, and the excess of RBCs, that is stored in what? It is stored in the spleen. And what do we need? We need iron, protein, vitamin B12, folic acid. So if there is deficiency of these, then we can suffer from anemia. If there is decrease in the number of RBCs, then actually we can suffer from what? We can suffer from erythrocytopenia. When there is increase in the number of RBCs, we can suffer from polycythemia, right? So this was all about erythrocytes. Just remember this, because these are the major and the main important points that you need to learn when we talk about the red blood corpuscles, the most abundant cells in your body, which are actually containing the hemoglobin pigment, the main pigment that is going to transport or going to carry oxygen.